Let's see if we're live. Hey, friends, welcome to today's live stream. I am Dr. Tamaya Colvin, founder of Tamaya Colvin Education and host of the amazing Photo Cookout. Today, I have live with me Justin from Aftershoot. This month, I am talking all the things that have to do with AI and how to make your life better, right? So that's the entire month that I'm talking about. Just how to make sure that that you can make your life a little bit easier using AI. And I think that I don't think you can see me, but here we go. Here I am. And so I think that sometimes I'm not touching this thing. You can hear my voice, you know I'm here. That I think that sometimes we get kind of scared and we don't want to try new things because it's scary, right? And so today, Justin's going to sit with us and show us about how easy it is for us to use AI in our business and how we can kind of simplify our workflow to make our lives a little bit easier. So welcome to TCE, Justin. Woo!
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. So there's ever since I saw you speak, I was wowed and floored by everything you do. So I'm just so excited to actually be a guest.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about AI today. I hope that there's some questions and some concerns. That's always a nice thing to kind of address because AI is scary. We know that. That's why our logo is a unicorn, because we believe that this magical creature really embodies what AI is. It's something that you can't see, you can't interact with it, right? But it exists and it functions. And it's really designed to be a helper, right? It won't replace you. It's not going to do your whole job for you. But if I can expedite your process at all, that's huge. I mean, for me in my wedding photography business, I was spending about 10 to 15 hours culling and editing weddings. I'm down to 3, which is like that's a whole bunch of time back to focus on other things, whether it's family, whether it's business, doesn't matter. I'm getting something out of it, which is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, so friends that are logged in and watching us, let us know if you have questions while we are here. We're here to answer your questions, all the things, so that we can possibly make your life a little bit easier during this process. All right, so Justin is going to share his screen and give us a bit of the secret sauce to the unicorn magic. So Justin, can you just tell us before you get started, like what kind of pushed you to this software, and kind of like what did you see that was happening in your life and in your business where you were like, man, I got to change this?
Yeah, absolutely. So really, I think we're all guilty of it as photographers. We say, okay, I'm gonna just like book this amount of sessions, I'm good, and then you get an inquiry, you're like, oh yeah, I can stick another one in there. I've got the time or space or energy. And I was like the number one. I never learned my lesson. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do 50 weddings this year, and then I'd be up to 57, and I'd be like, I am drowning.
Right? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on one second. They're saying, Justin, that you have an echo on your side. Is that what you all are hearing, that he has an echo? I'm listening to... I don't hear it on my end. Friends that are listening, will you tell me in the chat if you hear an echo from me or if you hear an echo from Justin? Okay, so... they're saying that there's an echo from your side, Brother Justin. Yeah.
Give me 30 seconds. I'm going to grab my microphone.
Okay, no problem. So I have my handy dandy Blue Yeti microphone here on my side. So Justin's going to run and get his microphone. If you would give us just a hot second there for him to plug in. Welcome to today's world of technology. It is okay.
You had everything set up perfect. And
No. I was scared as hell to hit a button. I was like, nope, I'm not touching anything over here today. All right. So, friends, while we're waiting, can you tag a friend who knows that who you know needs to be on and listening? Tag two friends that you know, or I don't want to say overwhelmed, but could definitely use a little bit of help and support in the culling and or editing section of their life. So if you know somebody who's spending a lot of hours, we don't want to, call them out. But if you know somebody who could benefit from maybe a little bit of culling help, a little bit of editing, tag a bestie in the comments so that we can help them get better. All right. So Justin, say something this time.
I got a Yeti, a blue one.
You got a blue? Yeah. Oh, me too. All righty. So, friends, Justin's going to say some words and then you let us know if he's still echoing.
Yes, please. Let us know. I guess I'll kind of dive in and you can maybe stop me if I am echoing. But yeah, so for me, it was all about overbooking clients, right? That was. Like I said, we're all guilty of it, right? If you can squeeze an extra session in, make a little bit more money, if someone's willing to come to you and pay you your full price, how do you say no if you have availability? But then you're stuck in that back end process. Yeah, and that was me. I was like, I could book 50 weddings, and then the next 7 came, and they're like, yeah, we'll pay you your full price. And I'm like, well, okay. How do I not take this wedding, right? I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, I'll turn stuff away, but when someone's giving you $4,000, $5,000, and they're willing to pay you that, how do you not do it, right? How do you stop that process and not book them? So essentially, what I ended up doing was finding better solutions.
Okay. And this was it.
Yeah, this was it. So my involvement with After started via an Instagram message. I found somebody in a Facebook group that said, hey, there's this really smart guy. He's trying to put together an AI culling software or some sort of AI assisted program. So I DM'd the founder of our ship and I was like, hey, I'm really into this. For me, my back end process, my culling, my editing, it's all taking me far too long. I get stuck in this habit of just not delivering fast enough, and it stacks up. And so we sat down, we got on a couple calls. He sent me the initial version. He sent it to 50 other people. Only 10 people replied. Of those 10 people that replied, 8 of them said, give up, it's not even possible. And I was the one who wrote out a huge email and I was like, it's possible, you just have to fix 500 things. And I told them all the things to actually make it work and how we could proceed. And then we just started working together from that day forward. So I tripped into the software, honestly, but it was exactly what I needed.
Alrighty, so Justin, they're saying that you're still echoing. So we're gonna give you a second. And 1 second, Ivory is calling me, guys, for lunch money. So hold on 1 second. Big Mom.
Hold on. All right, let's see. I am not sure why I'm echoing.
All right, so I had to run and get a card. Hold on. So we'll see what's happening on Justin. Justin, do you want to restart and come back?
Yeah, let's see if that fixes it. Okay. I'll be right back.
All right, so Justin will be right back. And friends, we apologize for the delay. Hold on, I'm gonna be mom for just a second and give Ivory some lunch money, because if not, he's gonna call me 17 more times. So hold on, let me give him some lunch money. And then I'm also going to put in the chat my referral link for Aftershoot. Hold on a second. So that you can see what that looks like. And if I got to teach this class today, then it's just what it's going to be. Hold on. 44. Oh, I was about to tell my number out loud. Expiration. Okay. All right, let's see. All right. What about? Okay, he's back, friends. You can tell
I'm
him.
back. We're gonna try. See if it doesn't happen. My next thought is maybe we turn your mic a little
Off.
bit. Maybe it's picking up your speaker.
Okay, yeah, I can turn me off. Hold on. 1 second. I'm still paying.
No, you're good. Just don't read those numbers out loud.
No, I was in the middle of reading some. Hold on.
You wake up tomorrow and your accounts are empty, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's a gift from."
Dr. T was like, "Oh my gosh." Okay, all right. Okay, so some of you have texted me. So tell me if you all hear an echo now. Tell me if you hear it now. And then I'm going to turn off my microphone. I'm going to mute myself. Hold on. I'm listening. Okay, you all comment and tell me if Justin's talking now, if you all can still hear a echo.
So here we go. Talking. See if it's some reverb from a microphone or fun of troubleshooting on the spot, right? And
Okay,
thank you all for being patient.
It's okay. I just hit a button that says use echo cancellation. Let's see if that worked. Okay, keep talking again. See if there's still an echo.
Thank you to everyone for helping and hanging with us.
Yay, it's okay. All right, they said the echo is gone. All righty. Woo!
There you go.
Okay. All righty.
Fantastic.
All righty. We're rocking and rolling. Thank you, friends, for your patience. All righty. Okay. Okay. All righty. So you can share your screen now.
Fantastic. So we'll dive back in. Yeah, so like I was saying, it's just a huge piece of what I do now, right? I mean, this originally started, and the concept of it was to help photographers just save time, get time back, and focus their energy elsewhere, right? If your marketing is great and you're bringing in enough clients, that's a perfect time to just pivot to social media, or a perfect time to just pivot to home time, right? I mean, we all started photography because we wanted to be our own bosses. We love photography, a various list of reasons. But I feel very confident in saying that probably 9 times out of 10, we don't actually reap the benefits of why we got started. And this is a perfect way to get that back. So instead of sitting in front of the computer as much, you can now start, living your best life, taking more pictures, being behind the camera, what we got into it for.
All right. Okay, well, I have your screen on your share screen is up, and you can walk us through it.
Awesome. So this is Aftershoot. We are a single application that does culling and editing for you using AI. We use 15 different magical unicorns to look at your photos first for the culling portion. So we look at things like emotion, focus, closed eyes, composition, and more. And then we compile those images by similarity and then try and pull out the best images from those. So depending on what type of shoot you're doing, we have different settings that you can use. And I'm going to just walk you through. And again, please stop me, ask questions, because I'll just keep going if nobody's concerned or has questions.
Okay.
So we'll click
And
start.
I'll be monitoring the questions. Okay.
Fantastic. And we're going to just pick one. We won't actually cull it. It's boring to watch. I'll show you the results instead. But the first thing I would do is need to pick my settings. So we can drag and drop photos into this last screen. So you can drag and drop a folder. You can add the folder manually, whatever you choose. But then you're prompted to start culling. And so when you get to this screen, this is the most important screen in determining the results that you're going to get. And this will vary by the type of photographer you are. If you're an overshooter, an undershooter, all of these things will have some impact here. So the first thing you want to do is just pick what you're shooting. Like, what is the actual genre of photography? Because each one of these has a different set of unicorns to help pick images better. So like the portrait and headshots will have different unicorns than the weddings and engagements. So we're going to do this as a portrait session. And then next we have to determine the threshold for the blurry photos. Now, what this means is that after shoot was designed to give you one of everything. So if we see that you took 4 out of focus photos, we give you one because we don't know if it's a creative decision, if it was a camera malfunction, or if you just can't focus. Right? Like we don't know the difference. The AI can't tell the difference. So we want to represent everything because sometimes those blurry photos are the ones that you're like, yeah, that's the one. Right? It's a soft moment, whatever it may be. But what this setting actually does is determine how much we would accept that from you. So if you set it to strict, that's really like if you're in a portrait studio session where
Mhm.
you have like a higher ISO, a lower ISO, a higher aperture, right? It's like the images are tack sharp and they have to be the most in focus that they possibly can be. So you would set that to strict. Whereas if you were shooting like an outdoor session, you would probably be in the moderate space. In a wedding, you would probably be lenient, right? You're saying, hey, if there's great emotion behind a photo, but it's not necessarily tack sharp, it's in focus, but it's not tack sharp, you can consider it because the emotion matters more. So in our case, for this session, we'll go moderate. It's not necessarily studio. And then next up is the criteria for grouping duplicates. So this is really important because this is where you actually tell it how you want us to select your images, right? So how similar do the images have to be in order for us to pull out the best one? So if you were to set it to identical, you're saying, I hit the shutter 3 times, like it's 3 of the exact same photo, just give me one of those 3. Whereas if you were to set it to similar-ish, trademark that word. If you set it to similar-ish, you're saying, hey, if like the heads are, head pose is changing a little bit because we have a unicorn that looks at head pose as well. So if like head pose or body pose changes slightly, you can start putting those images together and just pick the best one out of those. So ultimately what this means is if you set it to similar-ish, you'll have a lot less selected photos because we're going to just say, okay, here's 10 photos that look very similar, and we'll give you the one out of it. Whereas if you went to identical, we would say here, out of those 10, there's 2 sets of 5, or there's 3 sets of 3. So we'll break those up and then give you 3 selected images because it, in theory, is 3 different looking poses. So that's really like, this is the one. If you're going to play with it your first time, which we recommend, right? Don't dive in when you're on a deadline. You want to kind of get familiar with the system and understand how it does, and you can rerun these, right? So you can run it over and over again and play with settings and see what impact it has on the actual results for you. And then next up is just the selections in a duplicate set. We pretty much always leave this to less. So if we make a group of 10 images under similar-ish, if we say here's 10 very similar images, less will give you 1, moderate will give you 2, and more will give you 3. So we'll just give you some more variety if you change these toggles here. We also have a highlights feature. This is designed just to pull out a percentage of images that we think are like the cream of the crop. So we're looking at things like opened eyes, in focus, and emotion, and just saying, hey, these are like the greatest of the great. It's really practical for, events and sometimes family sessions and sessions like that. But also, with weddings, it'll pull out some of the important things, but you may not get the first kiss because that may not be a technically sharp photo. So it may not put that in your highlights. And then down along the bottom, you can turn off any of these filters. So if you're doing a newborn session, you can turn off the closed eyes. If you're doing boudoir, a lot of photographers like to turn off the blur because sometimes the softer the image, the better it is. And you can also turn off the duplicates if you just want us to get rid of out of focus and closed eyes and not do any other selecting for you, we can do that as well. Now, once you've set all your settings, you would just click on Start Culling and it would run and do its magic for you. What I'm going to do, I already culled this before. It should only take about 2 or 3 minutes, but we'll save you the pain of watching it work for 3 minutes and instead jump into one that's actually completed. So this is that exact same shoot. It had 134 photos. It found 1 that had closed eyes, 9 that were out of focus, and it picked 45, right? So there's 78 very similar photos, but it said, here's the 45 that we think are the best. Did you have a question?
No, I was just
mind blown.
Yeah, I was just being amazed per usual.
So this is what we call our grid view, right? So this is where you can see those photos. You can choose to look and see the closed eye image or the blurred image. So like you can see, obviously this is not in focus. It's not anything actually. So it's kind of categorized these 10 images outside of the selected images. Whereas in these selected images, it's saying, hey, there's a +7 in the upper left-hand corner. It's telling me that there's 7 more very similar photos. So that's where that duplicate grouping, where I was talking about the duplicate grouping, this is where it actually comes into play. So
Mm.
it's saying that we have 7 very similar photos. This is the one that we think is the best out of the 7. And so I'm going to collapse this because you've already seen the stats and that's awesome. But you can actually see all 7 of these photos are represented here, right? So there's 2 selections in this set and there's 6 that are just the same that it didn't select. So using keyboard shortcuts or even just clicking here, I can see all those alternates, right? So if I land on a photo like this and I say, I love this photo, then
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. My job is done with those 8 photos. I'm skipping reviewing the rest. I think it did a great job. It picked the one. But if I looked at this photo and said, I don't think this is the best, right? I feel like I did something a little bit different. I could actually cycle through and see the alternate options. Now, in this case, the AI did its job, right? I agree with it, but I could change it if I want to. So I don't have to relinquish full control to the AI. I can let it just help me along in the process and save me a little energy. This is a prime example. I have a +1 in the corner. There's just another one. And here
Mm.
are my 2 versions. I'm going to actually enter what we call loop view. So I'm going to go a little bit larger and I'll show it off and I'll say, okay, here's 2 different versions. I kind of like them both. So using the keyboard shortcut, which they're all right here. So I'm going to use the A key and I'm actually going to add it in because I do kind of like this photo, even though she's not looking at the camera and, it's just got that angelic feel, right? So I added it back in. So now I'm really customizing what I'm doing as I go through. In this case, I don't love this photo. I don't love her pose. So I'm going to hit the X key and just reject it out. Now, my favorite feature in the culling is actually spray can mode. So this is a one that we introduced pretty recently. So by clicking on this spray can in the corner here, I can actually dictate what clicking does. So I'm going to say a left click rejects a photo and a right click will add a photo. So now all I have to do is scroll through and I can say, I don't like this pose, and I click on it and it's no longer my selections. Same with this one. It's kind of like an in-between pose. And then I could come over here and like this was the selected one. And let's say I really like this one as well. If I right click on it, now that one's added. So just by clicking on photos, I can help revise my cull and get it to the place I want it to be. Now, there are a ton of amazing features in culling, right? I mean, the key faces to me is priceless for anything that involves more than one person. I mean, one person is fine, right? You can click on a key face. But if I were in, say, a wedding scenario or a family portrait scenario, being able to click on any of these group photos and see all of the faces presented to me is something that I probably spent more time than I'd ever like to admit doing in like a photo mechanic where I was zooming in, zooming out, looking at each face, trying to make sure everyone was looking at the camera and smiling. It's a lot of work without a feature like this. But here you can see all those faces are presented to me. So in this case, there's 14 people in this photo, all 14 faces appear. And I can say, oh, this is great. They're all looking at the camera. They're all smiling. I'm happy with it. But if they weren't, I could always cycle through the additional versions, right? And see what else I see. Maybe there's a better one that they are looking at the camera or a better smile. Like, for instance, this one got flagged as closed eyes because he's got closed eyes, so it wasn't selected. But again, I can revise and adapt if I need to. So
Mm.
the tool sets here are huge. Just being able to cycle through these faces and make sure that everyone's looking at the camera saves me time and energy. And that's kind of culling as fast as I can teach culling, right? I mean, it's pretty easy to get a hang of. It takes a little bit of time. Like I said, sometimes you may want to just run through. That one did come through. So the settings I had under this one brought 69 selections instead. So I may say, oh, let me adjust this a little bit and then run it again, and then my maybe it fits my shooting style or my desired images better. So now I got it all the way down to 29 because I
Mm-hmm.
increased the intensity of the cull. So you
Okay.
can now I got 26 out of focus photos because it raised that standard for me, right? I changed the blur setting here to strict, so it raised the qualification, so to speak, for a good photo, and said here's a lot more photos that are just not really sharp.
Okay. So I'm gonna pause for a half a second. I think honestly, I'm gonna just be completely honest. That screen that he just showed about the culling, that is probably by far the most important screen in this whole deal. Because don't ask me how I know, but I can tell you that that is the most important. Because I think like you get frustrated. And you're like, God damn it! Like I want this to do right, and it's not that it did wrong. It's just that I was putting in the wrong setting. So I need you to understand that
Yeah,
that
it's it,
yeah,
it's big.
it's big. Like that's the most important thing, like understanding that if you don't get anything else out of today, if you're like, all right, Dr. T, like I hear you, like whatever, but I'm telling you that when you get to that button, well, that section of the software, when it says, okay, I'm ready to call, that's going to be, this one is the most important one because it determines what photos get pushed back. So if you get too many of the same ones, or if you don't get enough that you like, it's something in that section that you need to tighten up to make it fit your needs, if I'm trying to say that correctly.
Absolutely, yeah. So these two right here, the blur and the duplicate grouping, those two will definitely. I used to think, hmm, I'm an amazing photographer because my photos are sharp. I shoot at 2.8.
Yeah.
Life is good.
Mm-hmm.
I started running it on strict, and turns out they're not as sharp as I thought.
Right.
Little things that I didn't necessarily notice, like I would focus on the bride's bouquet,
Uh-huh.
uh, and like the bride would be in focus, but she would be a little bit soft. And then on strict, it says,
It's
yep,
gonna throw it away. Right.
yeah, it's not going to consider it.
Yeah.
So I actually now I'm more on moderate or sometimes even lenient, right? If I know it's a wedding where I'm like, or a shoot where I'm running around and things are a little crazy, and I'll go to lenient because it'll consider more images that,
Yeah.
again, they'll be in focus, but it'll give more consideration to images that aren't
It's sharp.
by
Yeah.
the book sharp.
Yeah.
And then really, just like you said, this here is based entirely on how you photograph. So for me, I take four of the same exact. I shoot Nikon, so it's like 50-50 if it's ever going to be in focus. I know you don't have that problem on Sony,
That's
but on
absolutely
Nikon,
correct. Yep.
on Nikon, it's not as reliable for focus for sure. So I always shoot four of the same photo because
Okay.
sometimes it takes an extra second for it to actually engage and find that focus. So the first one may be out of focus, or the second one may be out of focus. So I'm shooting four, and so for me, putting it on like similar-ish or similar does really well for me. But if I were
Mm.
the type of photographer who takes like one picture and I'm like, yep, that's good, identical, absolutely. You don't want to cluster a lot of things together, because it's going to start putting images that maybe don't belong together if there's not a lot of them. So this is really, it does depend on how you photograph and how
Mm-hmm.
you're shooting. If you shoot way too many of the same images, you may even want to go all the way up to loose. I mean, that's like pretty intense, but if you're just like firing at the hip all day, which sometimes I do, right? Especially family sessions, I do that a lot where I'm just like, "Do, do, 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 do. Please look at me, please."
Yeah.
um, but that's one of the advantages of using something like Aftershoot. We have a model that looks at the gaze of the eyes, the emotion, that all the heads look at the camera or look away from camera if it's a candid, right? So we have these models in play that really help that process. So I'm not afraid to take more pictures anymore, because especially on like kids and family and whatnot, because it really does. It helps out, just getting like, look, I took 9 photos here,
Yeah.
9 of the exact same photo. Where'd I go? Nine of the exact same photo, because I wanted to see all these kids looking at the camera. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, did, but I didn't expect them all to
Yeah,
look at
you
the
just never know. Right.
exactly. I really expected the kid down there to not look once, and then he looked at them all. So now I shot 10 of the same photo. It put them all together and just picked out one that it thought was the best, which I think is a really helpful tool, just in general, because I don't go into Photoshop and head swap anymore.
That's not my life. That's not my life
I
at
don't
all.
need to. I
Yeah.
hate doing it. It only takes me 3 to 5 minutes, but I hate doing it and I don't want
Yeah.
to do it. So now this is my way of getting over that. And so,
Okay.
like, for me, my review process, and you'll know you as a photographer better than anybody else. So if you're taking photos, and you notice some things that look off in this screen, it's good to stop and review, right? So I can say, like, I'll never take more than 5 photos in a row unless it's a very specific circumstance like that one with the kid. So if I'm scrolling through and I see something that's got this, like a plus 13, I'm going to stop, right? Something doesn't seem right. If I took 13 photos,
Of
I
that
want to
one scene. Yeah.
that one scene, something seems off. Now I'm looking at it, nothing's off, but I know for myself I should stop and look because I know 13 is a high number. And I'm pretty sure I made a joke and it maybe didn't sit well. So that's I think I usually have them look at the bride and say, to the bride, like, look at your favorite sibling. So it looks like there was maybe not a laugh for this guy. But it's that sort of thing. And then, like, here, like, I do actually like this photo better than the one that's selected. So I'm gonna just switch it using the S key. I'll swap that one out, and then that will turn into my selected photo. So it was actually the last one in the whole set. She maybe the bride doesn't look her best, but I did like it better than the one that was selected. So. But again, that's the thing. Like, here, a +2, I don't need to look at the +2. They're looking at the camera, they're smiling. +5, looking at the camera, smiling, right? These are all normal numbers for me, normal things I would do.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to stop and look at those. I'm going to just keep scrolling through, which
Okay.
is saving me tons of time.
Okay. Yeah, because I know in my the way that I'm not going to use the SHOOT because I don't want the
Oh,
video
yeah,
to get flagged.
yeah.
But in the way that I photograph, I'm normally, if it's one scene, I know me that last one in the series is the one that I want. Because I know that's how I photograph my clients. So definitely, like I said, like making sure that you kind of dial it in, and I want you all to fully understand that the first time you use this out of the gate is not going to be perfect. It's not. Like, it's software, it's you, and it's like a first date, and you all get to know each other. Like, the more that you all work together, the more the software learns you, the more you learn the software and the settings that you prefer to dial in, to get your achieve results.
Exactly. And, the more you're changing things too, so the more you're involved in the actual, within Aftershoot, if you start
Hmm.
switching images, making revisions to the AI selection,
Yeah.
it starts learning your preferences.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
It
think
starts
that's, yeah.
understanding that, yeah, it'll still give you one of everything, right? We know that that's something that, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, why does it keep giving me like the test shots? And we don't know why
No,
you
it's
took a
just,
test shot.
yeah.
Was it a test shot or was it a room shot, right? Or
Yeah.
was it,
We don't know. Like, it doesn't know. Like, it really for real
exactly.
doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but with that, it still give you all those, and it'll still give you, like, if you took out of focus photos, it's still going to give you one of those no matter what. But what it starts to learn over time is, what do you value most, right? Is
Hmm.
it looks at the eye position, right? And if you are always changing images because you don't want their eyes connecting with the camera, it starts saying, hey, devalue that a lot, right? That doesn't matter nearly as much, because they're always looking for ones where people aren't looking at the camera. That's their preferred. It's a candid style. They don't want
Hmm.
looking at camera. So it starts to learn those things and prioritize those photos. So it may look at something like this and knows that I am the type of person who's always going to photograph looking at the camera, right? I'm very posed and whatnot. So my preference is to look at the camera. So that's why it's going to pick this image over this image. Now, if I had continued changing that back and forth, it would start prioritizing this one and saying, hey, don't go for the one where they're looking at the camera. Look at the one where they don't look at the camera.
Right. Right.
That's what he
Okay.
likes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you've done your revision and you're happy with your results, it gets super easy from here. So you can actually just select all the images if you want and simply drag and drop them into your editing software, which in our case, we're going to use Lightroom because we have AI editing for Lightroom, which is my favorite thing. So this
Oh.
is, yeah, listen, I really, I despise culling. And I actually don't mind editing a lot, but editing obviously takes a lot more time than culling for me. And then, you know, the AI, I guess maybe I'm just jaded because I've been using culling for so long.
Okay.
Uh,
So let's
so AI
let's
editing, I'm excited about.
okay. So show us. Let's see.
Cool. So what would happen here is I would import these photos. They're unfortunately already in this category, or in this catalog, so I can't import them. But it would just showed me those 29 selected photos to import, and I would have imported them. Then what I would do is actually close Lightroom, and I have to return back to Aftershoot. Now, the way our AI editing works is it learns your style of shooting through old Lightroom catalogs. So I'll show you what that looks like, how to build a profile. So you would, in the upper right-hand corner, it says plus new profile. So we can, you know, just make this one. And I'm shooting in RAW and editing in RAW, and we're going to make a color profile here. And then I would just choose a Lightroom catalog. So I'd say, okay, I want to build images from this catalog. So I would connect that catalog. Again, you could do it, choose from recent, or you can drag and drop them, or you can browse your computer for that catalog. Let me do a couple catalogs here just to show you what it could look like. So we'll add them in. Take another second or two for the other one to load. And now what I'm going to do is click on continue, and I'm going to show it what it needs to learn from. And this is really important because with AI, it needs to learn. And so with culling, what we've done is we've taught it everything it needs to know to get started. And now it's going to start learning from you over time and the changes you make. Whereas with editing, you're the one teaching it. So you have to look at it like,
Oh.
yeah, it's an assistant that you can't really talk to. That's the best way to put it. You're trying to teach somebody how to edit, but you can't sit with them and say, when you encounter this situation, these are the sliders you need to adjust, and this is how you adjust them. Instead, what you need to do is say, here is a whole bunch of examples of what it looks like when I'm in fluorescent lighting and how I correct fluorescent lighting. So
Mm.
it's going to do that on its own. You don't need to actually say, here's what, you know, here's how you would do it, right? You don't need to point it directly where it needs to go. To learn that information, you just need to give it examples, and it will learn through that repetition. So what I would do here is I would select the things I want it to learn from. So I'm going to give it, you know, just two catalogs, or three weddings from this one. And I'm going to just tell it to look at only my 5-star images because that's what I edit.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then over here, I have that other catalog. I'm going to do the same over here, but I'm actually going to use collections. So I'm going to say, these are all the collections that you need to learn from. And I'm actually going to give it the same direction, only the 5-star images. And we'll build a really big profile. The more, the merrier. So the more information you can teach it, the more it can actually learn from the information you've given it.
So okay. So this does not have like a preset of profiles already there to choose from.
We have that coming soon.
Okay.
So yeah, we haven't officially launched it yet because we're trying to make it super awesome. So we will have some pre-built ones available coming soon.
Okay. But I mean, this is good
But
because
yeah, for
this is
now
going
we're
from
focused on building the best to learn what you'd like it to do.
uh-huh. Uh-huh. So this is learning so basically the computer is learning your style. So if you don't have a style, you might want to
Okay.
figure out one from the catalog that you pick. Uh-oh, guys, do you all hear us? Uh-oh. It's okay. We're still here. So let's see. Justin, can you still hear me? Mm. Okay. So Katrina can still hear me. And there was a question. This is in the same.
I don't know if it's me or Tamaya that's off.
I'm
I'm
here.
going to
Send me a
go
message.
to the group and see, because I can't see the comments either.
So let's see. So I can hear you,
Let's see.
and you all can hear him, right? He's back. Okay. I can hear him, right? Yeah. So we can hear both of us. So I'll just hush and you share your screen. Yeah. So we can hear both of us. So I'll just hush and you share your screen. So we can hear both of us. So I'll just hush and you share your screen.
So I'm in the Facebook group now. If you're still here, let me, because it's not actually, it's on a delay in the Facebook group of all places. So I'm going to continue and pretend like everyone can still see and hear me, because I just saw that 33 people, so I don't know that it's my Wi-Fi that's cut out. And then maybe there'll be either I'll get a message or something here. So what I would do is just upload those catalogs, and essentially it would learn my editing style. So it's going to learn all the little things that I like to do when I edit, right? So it's going to understand when it's sunny out, how I'm going to edit in sunny conditions. When it's cloudy, how I'm going to edit in cloudy conditions. And it's going to take all of those pieces and put them together and build my own little mini me to pre-edit my photos. Now, as mentioned, we do have some pre-built ones coming soon, so we'll be able to actually get those to you guys. I think in about a month is when we plan to launch these pre-built profiles. We'll have a variety of styles. But what I'm going to do is actually go back to home, because now I'm going to show you what it would look like to actually edit. So it's a very similar process. I would click on editing. Now what I'm going to do is actually just choose the
Jesse,
AI
can you
profile
hear me
I
now?
want to use. So I would say, okay, let's edit using
I
this
sent somebody to
profile.
his house.
And I'm going to use the Camera Faithful profile here. Or I could use Adobe Standard, Adobe Color, or whatever I trained it on, it would learn from. I can choose if I want to crop, straighten, or both. And then now I'm going to just connect that Lightroom catalog. So I'm going to say, edit this catalog. It's going to connect it. I'm going to click continue. And now I'm going to say, I only want you to edit this session and only the 5-star photos from this session. It's only 100 photos. So it should edit, and it's really fast, right? So it'll go through and probably edit these photos in a matter of 30, 40 seconds. Let's see. So it should get it done in about 30 or 40 seconds here. And then I will. You're not sharing your screen. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Veronica.
So sorry. I stopped my screen share because I think
okay.
I don't know if I'm the only one here still or what. So let me go back. Sorry about that, everybody. Let me dive back. And I'll go through the editing process for you really quick. So I would click on editing, and it would bring me to this screen. So here I'm going to choose the Lightroom catalog I want to edit. So we'd say edit this catalog. And then up top, I get to actually decide what I want it to edit with. So I can say edit with my school profile, use Adobe Standard. I can crop, straighten, or both at the same time. In this case, I'm not going to do either. And then I would click on continue. And then now, like I said, I'm going to just say only edit the 5 stars and only edit this folder. So I want you to edit that folder for me. I'll click on edit, and then it should run through in about 30 seconds. And and thank you, Katrina, for texting. I have everything on Do Not Disturb, so I didn't realize I wasn't sharing my screen. And hopefully Tamaya will be back in here soon. Because I'm sure it's boring just watching me. But hopefully I can teach you guys some stuff and when she comes back. So we just edited 100 photos, which is like mind-boggling, because for me, that would have taken forever to get done before. I'm going to show you those photos, but first I'm actually going to show you the catalog I had open. So instead of bouncing back and forth, because this is a catalog that I edited in my style. And I'm going to show you some before and afters to just show you how it actually works. So for me, when I edit, I'm only really adjusting my my white balance, my exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. I don't really touch any of the other sliders. So it's just replicating my style. So this is my before, obviously a raw image, and this is the after once it's gone through and replicated my style. And it learns how to do it in all different conditions. So here's like what it looks like on a somewhat cloudy, partly cloudy day, right? So I underexposed a lot to retain some of the sky detail. And as you can see, it went through and did a lot of those adjustments for myself. Now, the big thing to note, it's not just like putting on a preset, right? Because my style is actually just my preset and then tweaks. So I'll show you what my preset would have looked like. Oh, no, not that one. Just kidding. So that's what my preset would have looked like. If I had just imported and used my preset, that's what goes on every time I edit. So the fact that it actually did all of the other fine scale adjustments to it for me is huge because it's really fine tuning on my preset. And here's another before, another after. And actually, I've edited this gallery under some of my friends' presets as well, just to show what different styles could look like. So I borrowed a profile from a friend, and this is his style. So again, that kind of more filmy look. And it's tweaking all of these sliders per what he would do in that condition. So again, these pre-built profiles will have some of these available to kind of replicate different looks and whatnot coming soon. But this is what it would do, right? It would make all those adjustments for me so that I wouldn't have to, which is amazing. And it understands a lot, right? So it's looking at things like, what does the shooting condition look like? So here is when I am really underexposing because it's in full sun. And it's trying to retain his highlights. You can see the highlights come way down, right? It's trying to match what I would do normally. Same here, the before, the after. It's brought the highlights almost all the way down here. And one of the big examples I love to give is when I use off-camera flash at sunset. I generally bring my highlights down again to get the sky back as much as I can. And I bring my shadows up a lot because if they were down, it would kind of just, everything looks too dark, right? So it knows that it needs to bring the shadows up to fill back in some of that detail. But then I have another photo right next to it. This is actually a detail shot in which I wanted a lot of contrast. So it did the opposite. If you watch the sliders, it brought the highlights up and the shadows down because it understands that in this case, the contrast is desired. I don't want, if the shadows were up, you would see, it's tough to see, but you would see all that blue in the background. It just wouldn't look the way I would want it to look. I shot this to kind of eliminate all the clutter around it. So it understands little things like that, which is really cool. And it knows, when it's got a decent exposure, it's not going to bump it up too high, right? Because this is almost exposed. Again, Nikon underexposing is kind of the thing I do with Nikon because they don't retain highlights very well. So I shoot everything under a little bit. So pretty much all of my photos are going to be underexposed and have to bring some of that up. But again, in like tricky situations, it knows how to do it. But this is mainly because I taught it what I needed it to do, right? So I said, okay, in these conditions, I always underexpose. So know that when I underexpose, you may have to bring the exposure up by like 2 stops, right? Because the deck was reflecting a lot here. You can almost see there's like even some light bouncing off that's making it not look as sharp down here because it was so bright on the deck. And that's why I underexpose it so much because, again, if it was underexposed, if it was properly exposed on Nikon, I would be losing a lot of information here because it would essentially haze over the lens. So, just being able to have it understand all of these little nuances is really cool. And then again, like a before and an after. And I'll show you some more profiles, some friends' profiles. So this is another one of my friends. This is another one.
Oh,
here's
good.
another one, right? So it's making all these minor adjustments to different sliders based on what they would do when they would edit. I hope that nobody has any questions.
It's fine.
I'm going to just pull up the awesome. Samaya said that. Cool. Okay, so we make our edits in Lightroom and then import into edits to teach it. Correct. So in order to get started here, what you need to do is actually have your edits in Lightroom. So if you're editing in a Lightroom catalog, any of your past edits, you would then take them and put them into Aftershoot. And Aftershoot just looks at your Lightroom catalog. You don't have to do anything, no exported photos or anything. You just have to say, here's the Lightroom catalog you need to learn from. And I'll just do this here. So again, I just simply said, here are 2 Lightroom catalogs for you that I've completed editing. Continue on those, and then learn how to do that. Learn how I edit from these catalogs. Here are all the photos that are edited. You just need to tell us what's actually edited that you want us to learn from. We don't look at unedited photos, but we do want you to say, hey, these 3 folders, these are the ones that are completed. Because if you apply a preset to them on import, we'll think that they're edited. So I'm just saying these are the ones, the 5-star images in these 3 folders are the ones that I've edited and delivered to my clients, so you can look at them and learn from them. And it's really important, like I said, to give it a nice diverse amount of information, and what it can learn from users is really important. So I do see a question. What about Capture One? So Capture One, we don't currently support Capture One. We're trying to do so. But right now we are Lightroom only. And for those who use like Adobe Bridge or Camera Raw, there is a way to get your edits from those into Lightroom for us to learn from. But then you would still need to have those photos in a Lightroom catalog for us to edit for the time being. Cool. Does anyone have any questions? Do we want to see more before and afters? Is Tamaya coming back now that I can read the comments?
I'm here. I'm just here.
So again, before and after.
Tell him that I'm
and the cropping is pretty awesome as well too. I'll just give you a quick little see. What if the edited folders are slightly different? I'm meaning I edit boudoir different from weddings. Would I need to create 2 profiles? Great question, Katrina. That's definitely something that we advise, right? So if you're going to edit things differently, like if you're adjusting the same sliders in different amounts. So like, let's just say I had a boudoir session, but all I would be doing is adjusting the shadows more. You could probably get away with 1 profile, but if you're doing anything, if you're doing multiple sliders in different positions than you would in a wedding, then we definitely recommend making 2 different ones. So making a boudoir profile and making a weddings profile. Because it does it gets scarily accurate. So if it's got a bunch of conflicting data, it's going to start losing its accuracy. So like all of these are 100% edited by AI, right? So if you look at the history, there's all the different profiles and stuff I've done, but everything here, it's just the AI doing its job, which is cool, right? It's doing so much of the job for me. Like this one, maybe I would adjust like the exposure a touch more. Actually, no, I don't like that. I like the AI better. But I would make some slight revisions to these sort of things as we go through. It's not meant to do my whole job, but it's getting me really close. And so in these cases, I'm going to more or less just leave these, right? A lot of these could go to the client. I'm just going to look at them and make sure that I agree with what the AI did. But if I were to import other styles into this, it would start getting confused because it doesn't actually know the difference between a boudoir session. It doesn't know the difference between a boudoir session versus a session that like a wedding, right? So it doesn't know the difference between those. It's designed to understand what happens when you're in the shade, what happens when you're backlit with no flash, what happens when you use off-camera flash in the sun, what happens when it's like super tricky lighting and your exposure is all crazy. So it's learning all these conditions and things from you to get from there. So oh, I can't hear you, Tamaya. Oh no. Oh, okay. Let me pause.
What about now? The internet is failing me today, but it's okay.
Can you walk us through how to do it again, like a mini start over? Absolutely. I do see you. I'm super happy to see you back now. I came back to the screen and I'm like, yay. I was like, oh no, I'm all alone. So yes, I can absolutely do that. I'll give you a quick little guide of how to build a profile to start and then how we edit them. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. So first thing we do, in the upper right hand corner, I'm going to click on new profile. Then I'm going to name it, let's call it TC example. So what we need is essentially Lightroom catalogs that have the edits in them in either raw photos or smart previews. So if you photograph in JPEG and you're editing your JPEGs, you can use the JPEG feature. But if you're exporting to JPEG, you cannot re-import them because we need to actually see before, after, and the during, right? We need to see the adjustments that you made to get to your final set of images. Next, I'm going to choose a Lightroom catalog to train off of. So we'll just click this one here. I'm going to add that catalog, and I'm going to actually add another catalog too. Let's add two. Because you can upload up to 15 catalogs at the same time. So as a wedding photographer, I used to actually make individual catalogs for weddings. I stopped doing that. Now I batch them into like quarters. But I used to have like 50 million catalogs. So you can do up to 15 different catalogs at the same time. So here's two of them. We're going to click on continue now. So it's just verifying that they're closed. And on the left-hand side, you can see these are the two catalogs that I'm going to pull from. So the first thing I'm going to do is go find the sessions I want. So these are the collections that are edited. So there's 924 5-star photos in those. And then in this case, I'm going to select all of the images from all of the folders in this catalog because they're all entirely edited. And that's it. That's all I needed to do. So I just needed to tell it, only pick 5 stars or 5 stars and 4 stars. Whatever I decide is my factor that says that these are completed edited files. And then I would just click on upload and the process would begin. And so that's how you actually create a profile. Like I said, really important to make sure that you're looking at the actual data that you have. So you want to make sure that you are looking at the photos and making sure that they're edited. Give us your good, your bad, your ugly, right? We don't want just your best work because then we'll only ever know how to edit your best work. You want to show us what it looks like when you're shot in difficult lighting, or when you had a really great cloudy day shoot and when you had a really awful cloudy day shoot. So we really understand what we need to do to replicate your editing style. And so once you've actually gone through that process, and you'll get an email that says, hey, your profile was built. It's here if you'd like to use it. Then you can proceed to that screen. So what I did was on the home screen, there's this editing button. So we did culling first. Now we're going to do editing. And it's going to bring me to this screen when I do that for the first time. So it's going to say, here is your editing screen. First thing you need to do is choose your profile. So you'll notice a button in the upper left-hand corner. This is asking you if you'd like to apply your most used Lightroom preset. So when you train a profile for us, essentially what it's learning is, so essentially what it's learning from you is that you're going to, when you start your editing, you started with a preset. We adjust everything but color grading. So by using this apply my Lightroom preset, it's going to replicate what you're doing. So it's going to start with the preset and then make the adjustments on top of it. So all of the things would be set the way your preset would have set them. And then we'll continue from there to edit them in your style. And so then I'm going to just click on Justin's profile here. And I use Adobe Standard. You can choose if you use Adobe Standard, Adobe Color. You could choose to crop, straighten, or both. I'm going to do neither for the sake because it takes about 10 seconds more to get that done. But then I'll click on Edit 100 Photos. So I did the same exact process. I said, edit this folder, right? I want you to edit this folder. There's 318 photos in it. Just edit the 5 stars, which is 100 photos. And so we'll run it through and let it run. And it should take just another 30 seconds to get it done. And hopefully that was helpful. I'm watching the chat, waiting for some feedback. Okay, cool. It was awesome. So I just clicked on open Lightroom catalog. So it's going to relaunch my Lightroom catalog now so we can actually see a little bit. You may have missed some of the before and afters before. So when you've completed your editing, we always recommend that you dive in and start reviewing the photos, tweaking some things, right? You will find that there's going to be circumstances where it just didn't quite get it right. The AI didn't have a really good example to learn how to edit like you. So sometimes you may find yourself tweaking a white balance or an exposure or the highlights or something to kind of compensate for it. But what you can do once you actually finish that review process, you can come back to that same screen, and down along the bottom, it asks you if you'd like to improve your AI profile. So now what I can say is, okay, I finished my edits. The catalog's open. So I would say I finished my edits, and it would look at that catalog, and it would then upload my edits again and retrain the profile based on what changes I've made. So again, just a cool way to improve your overall results and keep it learning from you. So again, like before, after, and then I'll let Dr. Tamaya take it back over since I can't hear her. I don't want to talk over her.
All right. Talking now. All right. Alrighty, so I think that you all can hear me. If you can hear me, I see my thingamajiggy, my microphone, my thing sound level, that you all can hear me. If you can just comment and let me know that you can. But I want to say thank you to Justin for coming in and showing us how to both cull and edit. I did put my referral link that lets you get a free trial to try this thing out. I want you to just give it a shot. Just try. You never know what could happen or could not. I want you to try it before you actually need it, though. That's going to be the secret sauce. Like, don't try it on on a session that's due tomorrow because you're going to be so pissed if it doesn't work. So I want you to try it maybe like on your own family session or a session that you're already worked on, that you've already delivered to the client, just so that you can see the difference in the edits, and so that you can see if there's any tweaks, because maybe you chose the wrong catalog. Okay, maybe that wasn't the one. All right, and so I just want you all to just give it a shot, just so that you can just see how it works before you actually need it. And so I want to say thank you to Justin and Veronica from Aftershoot for coming on um, to give us this demonstration. My next one that I'll be talking about for the next couple of weeks will be writing your website copy or the words on your website using AI. And then I want to also talk about using AI like Midjourney, that app to like help design or like push towards your creativity in that space. I just realized you all can't even see me, but I'll put myself back on. And what else? Using like Midjourney to kind of like use for like your creative space of how you like maybe plan your photo sessions. So that's one. And then on Cinco de Mayo, that's May 4th and May 5th, I am hosting a workshop where this is what we're going to do. You're going to sit with me for however long you need, because sometimes y'all be all over the place. But we're going to sit down and we're going to write out at least 2 to 3 months of your content in advance. I'm going to show you how to use AI, the AI tools that I use to do it. So we're going to make it easy, right? We're going to write out the plan for the next 3 months. We're going to write out the captions using AI. I want you to fully understand all the things that you see me post. I'm just going to be honest, they are using AI. Okay. And then the next day on Cinco de Mayo, it's not Taco Tuesday, but I can definitely do a Taco Tuesday on a Friday. I want for you to come dressed to the screen, multiple outfits. You can't see it right now, but next to me, if I'm recording content, I have like 3 shirts, 2 blazers, all next to me over here in this section. And what we're going to do that day is that we're going to actually record the things that you said you were going to make on May 4th. So May 4th, we're going to plan it out. May 5th, I'm going to be your accountability body double to make sure that you actually sit your tail down and actually record the videos that you say that you want to do, because the most important deal here is you showing up and you being consistent in your posting. And so I'm going to help you with strategy. We're going to do that May 4th. Then May 5th, you're going to come sit your tail down, whether it's outside in the park, I don't care, wherever you need to go, multiple locations, I really don't care. But I will be on here and on Zoom following you around to make sure that you are going outside to record those videos. If you need help, like finding the sounds, all the things, I will be around. I'm just going to kind of block out that day. I've already blocked out that day on my calendar so that you can get the work done. Does that make sense for you all? Any questions for that? So it's $100 a day. And 147 if you book both days. Okay, so it's 97 if you just want me to plan with you. It's another 97 if you want me to you don't want to plan with me, you just want to come and you hold yourself accountable. That's one thing. But if you book both, then it's 147 to get planned and your work done. And so when you start off May, you will have, when you leave from me, you'll have at least 2 to 3 weeks worth of videos and content already recorded for the entire month so that you can go into the summer. You can enjoy your life again. You're not like tied down to the computer all the time. And if you're like me trying to figure out what song to use and all the things. So that's what we're going to do at the beginning of May. All right. So look for that. That's coming. If you have questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer them for you. But just know that every week we're going to start our series back where you will be able to learn from industry experts this month about using AI in your business. All right. So thank you so much. If you know somebody that's a photographer, that needs some support in their business, whether it's editing, whether it's business, whether it's pricing, any of the things, please invite them to my Facebook community. I would love to support them. And tomorrow, you will see me in New Orleans. I'm going for my sorority conference, but I am also going to do a site visit for the photo cookout and hopefully sign a contract to get this show on the road. So that's where you'll see me at the next couple of days. If you have questions, please post in the group. And I look forward to supporting you. Have a fantabulous day.